Hey guys, welcome back. And if this is your first time tuning in, my name is Ryan and I make records. This video is going to be a quick tour of my studio. I'll show you around, give you a quick rundown of how I have things set up. I'm going to start with a quick walkthrough to give you guys a general feel of the layout, and then I'll get a little bit more specific on certain sections of the studio as we go. I plan on doing more in-depth videos of my gear, so if I gloss over some stuff, it's probably because I want to give certain pieces of gear their own videos in the future. And as I'm sure you all know, studios evolve over time. I've got lots of changes planned for the near future. There's probably gear here now that won't be for long, and I'm sure that gear will kind of pop up as I'm making content. But I think it's important to show you guys those steps along the way, and you got to start somewhere. So this is the current state of my studio, and here we go. All right, welcome to the studio. As you can see, you come into the main control room area. We'll do a quick little pan around so you can see where I spend most of my time. Over here we've got the guitar rack with a lot of my beautiful guitars, and all the cabinetry in here was custom made by a family friend, and he kind of surprised me with this awesome detail work on the side panels of all this. When he delivered it, I was just blown away, even on the rack credenza here. Yeah, this is my kind of command center console. Got a lovely Yamaha upright piano over there and a couple of my favorite guitars on display. And then we come in here to the tracking room. This is where we do all the drums and mic up guitar cabs and bass and all that. It's got nice tall ceilings, kind of mellow lighting, which I think is important. I don't like bright lights in my space. Yeah, we made all the sound treatment in here. It's custom. Got mic lines through the wall over there, and then these are, I've got HDMI, USB, some speaker cable lines coming through in that little box, and cable storage, and that's about it. Kind of go back in here, and I think we'll start with the rack, and I'll give you a rundown of kind of what I have in here and why. All right, so we'll start on the far left bay here on the credenza. Up top, we've obviously got our patch bays. Those are Redco TT patch bays. Below that is a 2-channel Great River mic pre, which I love. Below that is a 2-channel API 312 by Brent Averill. Below that, 4-channel Universal Audio 4110 that I've had for years, and I just kind of I like on all sorts of things. For conversion, my interfaces are 2 Avid HDIOs, which give me 32 ins and outs simultaneously. And the middle bay up top is a funny old Lexicon MPX 100 that I just use occasionally for kind of nostalgic reasons. Below that, pair of Clark Technique Pultec clones, which I think for the money sound pretty cool. They may not live here forever, but they're almost too cheap to bother selling. So below that is a PreSonus Digimax D8, which I use for things like talkback and maybe some extra DIs if I need them. Below that is a JDK Audio 2-channel mic pre, kind of a API-ish thing that I use for, again, DIs. Sometimes I'll use those for toms. I think it sounds pretty cool. Far right here, start up top with the IGS Tube Core. It's a tube mastering compressor limiter. Below that is a Stam Audio SSL bus compressor clone. Again, for the money, pretty solid. Pair of Warm Audio 1176s, which will soon be replaced by something else that I'm anxious to show you guys. Then 3 distressors. Can't go wrong with distressors. I typically have 2 of them set up as a stereo pair. Drum bus is kind of the go-to for me, and then the third one will be kick or snare, kind of whatever I want to print through it. Love distressors. And then we'll move up to this couple little 500 pieces up here. API 512, love that mic pre for all sorts of stuff. Rupert Neve Designs 511, that's one of my go-to vocal pre's. I really enjoy that, and I think most people sound pretty awesome through it. Retro Instruments double wide, really cool little tube compressor. That's a pair of API 550Bs. Those are sequential serial numbers from the kind of early 90s, and I think they sound awesome. And then over here, this is a kind of a setup to where I can mix with guitar pedals. So those are radial X amps. Basically send out a line level from Pro Tools to where I can set up whatever guitar pedals I want. And it's, I think, just a really kind of easy, fun way to get unique sounds, kind of unexpected sounds on things. I love sending vocals through distortion pedals or kind of that, you know, whatever I'm feeling at the time. And then that's a DBX 560A, basically a 500 series 160A. I think it sounds really cool on certain things. It's, I mean, and again, for the money, kind of hard to beat. And that's a Pedal Power ISO 5 from Voodoo Labs. And that just allows me to hook up a bunch of pedals real quick, send signal out through the radials, and just kind of be up and running with a bunch of different options. Yeah, that's the rack. So next I'll move over to the console. It's a Rupert Neve Designs 5088. It's 16 channels, 8 bus console. Currently kind of the centerpiece of the studio, but this is one of the pieces that may not be here for much longer. I have some other kind of big stuff planned, so we'll see if it sticks around. But for now, it's definitely awesome to work on and probably even better to look at. Then we'll move over to my desk and I'll just kind of give you guys a brief rundown on this. My main computer is back there. It's a big custom built, I guess you would call Hackintosh. I am running OS X. This is my MacBook Pro. It's a 2018 or 19, and I use this primarily for video editing at this point and as a mobile rig, and that's a an Apollo Twin there that comes with me when I travel. That's the power supply for the Manley Ref C that I have, and hiding back here is just a Korg Mini-Log. I've got a Axiom Pro 25 as just kind of a small, handy MIDI controller. Got the bigger brother over here if I need something more extensive. And then for production stuff, every now and again I'll use the Machine. I think that's a Mark III, not sure. And then for monitoring, I currently have the Central Station, but that's another thing that'll probably go pretty soon. That's the remote for that. And the big upgrade will be in monitors soon. These are my trusty old Mackie HR824 first generation. had them forever and I'm comfortable with them, but like I said, I have something bigger planned, and an LG ultra wide monitor. In this corner, I've got a couple of my favorite guitars on display. This is my 1987 Gibson Les Paul Standard, beautiful flame top, and my 1968 Gibson Les Paul Custom Black Beauty. And come over here, this is my 1971 Martin D35. That's one of my favorite guitars, probably one of my prized possessions, honestly. And then the rest are in the rack over here. Ibanez 7-string, Danelectro baritone, and the standard scale version. A few Strats. These are actually all Japanese Strats that I've had for years. It's an American Jazzmaster. This is kind of a cool little rare Fender Bullet Deluxe. And this is a custom made job with the Evertune, some Fishman Fluence pickups, and then a couple SGs. This is a custom made ES335 style, but it's a solid maple carved top, and then a custom made electric 12-string, Fender Jazz bass, and a Fender, I don't know, some kind of cheap Fender acoustic that I've had forever. So coming in here, this is again just kind of a cheap little parlor acoustic by a brand called Kala. Just kind of adds a nice texture when we layer it on with the Martin. It's obviously quite a bit thinner and brighter sounding. So, and then that's a Player Series Tele. My amps that I currently have in here right now, this is a Marshall Slash Signature, which is kind of based off of a Silver Jubilee Marshall 4x12. Hughes & Kettner Triamp Mark I with a Mesa 4x12 straight cab. It's a Ampeg SVT Classic, the 8x10. And this is one of the cheap Chinese Bad Cats that I took a chance on and probably won't be here for long. And that's an old Johnson cab with vintage 30s in it. THD Univalve that I like a lot for kind of clean guitars. It takes effects really well. And that's a custom made 2x12 with vintage 30s in it as well. Then we come over to Drum World, drum and percussion land. I'll do a little bit more in-depth video about my collection at some point, but that's a 18-inch Allegra kick. They're a local Portland company. This says Pearl, but really it's just kind of an old Japanese kit that someone, I think, put Pearl badges on. Sounds kind of cool. It's more for kind of lo-fi indie stuff. Gotta have some bongos, a couple extra snares. There's like an acrylic snare down there, and that's a Tama, kind of their take on the Black Beauty. Extra toms. Most of these are Truth Custom Drums. They're another local company that I love to support. The red sparkle toms from that Japanese kit. And this is kind of the view behind the kit. Currently all Zildjian cymbals. And then this is a monitor. It's not turned on right now, obviously, but I have it connected to the computer, mirroring the screen in the control room. That's a wireless mouse and keyboard that is also connected to the main computer in there, so that when I'm tracking drums myself, or I can scoot this over to the guitar station or whatever, I have remote access to Pro Tools and I don't have to run back and forth, and it's really handy. I pretty much always use Remo heads, Vic Firth sticks, and like I said, I'll get a little bit more in depth with the mic locker at some point, but right now I just kind of wanted to show you guys how I have things set up. So when I moved into the studio, one big thing that I really wanted and needed that I'd always had a lack of is storage. As you can see, I have them kind of full of toys, little odds and ends. I'll do more videos on guitar pedals at some point. I keep extra mics in these guys. There's the Manley Cascade Fathead, and over here just kind of extra storage for guitar strings and capos and tools and little drum odds and ends. But it's coming very handy. I keep tools over there and all those drawers, and obviously extra stuff up there. Yeah, storage is a huge thing for me, and got to keep organized with all this stuff. So that pretty much wraps it up. It's not a huge space, but I try and make the most out of what I have. And again, it's always changing, always getting new stuff, selling stuff, and I look forward to kind of, you know, keeping you guys posted and updated as I make those changes along the way. But that does it for now. Thanks for tuning in.